My name is Debbie Becker. I work for New Student Orientation. And today we're going to be talking about living off campus. And with me, I have Diane. Diane, tell us a little bit about yourself and let's hear about your favorite summertime activity.
Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Diane Riccitelli. I'm the Director for Off-Campus Student Services. Welcome to the family session. I'm really excited to be here. So basically my favorite summer activity, it's hanging by my pool, having a few cocktails with either my family or friends. That is my favorite thing to do. So other than that, I love going to the beach. So if I'm not at my pool, I love going to the beach and hanging there as well.
I love it. I might get a cocktail when this is over.
Yeah. So I've been with the university for 33 years, believe it or not. I've held multiple roles at the university, and I have been with off-campus student services. This is going on my 5th year. So I love it here. I love our commuter students. So I am excited to be here and talk a little bit more about the services that we can provide to your students.
And we also have Jocelyn, one of our orientation leaders with us. Jocelyn, tell us a little bit about yourself and your favorite summertime activity.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Vasquez. I'm a rising sophomore, and my major is international business. My favorite activity in the summer would be going out with my family or friends. To the beach or just watching the sunset, just going down there, like riding, looking at the like nice views, going to Narragansett. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So for those of you that are not familiar with Zoom, I just want to point out some of the features for you. Down at the bottom, you'll see that there is a chat feature. And if you have questions, you're welcome to put those into the chat. Also feel free to chat with each other. That's totally fine. We're gonna save questions to the end, but if a question is burning on your mind and you don't wanna forget it, you can throw that in the chat. You can also click on the participant button, and that's going to show you a list of everybody that's on the call. From there, you can go next to your name and select the hand raise feature, and we'll let you answer ask your question out loud. And then, if you're feeling spicy and want to give us a thumbs up or clap, you can go down to that reactions button and select those features if you'd like. So without further ado, Diane, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Debbie. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start by talking a little bit about off-campus student services. Many of you may never even heard of off-campus student services. I know that when I was a student, there were no dedicated resources for commuter students. And, that was kind of discouraging as a commuter. I didn't feel connected to the college that much because of that. I would just come on, drive in, park, and go to class, and then leave or go to work, go home, what have you. Johnson & Wales University, I am really proud to be working here. I've been employed, like I said, for 33 years. I wouldn't stay there that long if I didn't believe in the university and everything it does for its students and the education that you get here. And I'd say about 6 years ago, they made a decision that commuters needed their own space. They needed dedicated resources, and they created this department called Off-Campus Student Services. So really the purpose of us is really to be that dedicated resource, but also to help our commuters feel a sense of belonging and a connection to the university. In addition, to provide support and to offer resources for our commuter students. So really, we're really concerned about commuters and their success. We do know commuters do not retain as high as students who live on campus. Knowing that, we have to figure out what is it that prevents them from retaining, from being as successful, from completing their degree. And, in talking with commuters, we are discovering the challenges that they have and how can we address those challenges. With that said, I would like Daryl, our behind the scenes man, to deploy our first poll. if you could just give me a minute of your time and select the answer that you think best fit as far as what you think your student's biggest challenge will be as a commuter student. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to answer that.
Time management. I'm going to say time management.
Why?
Where's computer?
Well, what to look? It says trans.
All right. I think everyone has had a chance to answer. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I think, can you everyone see the results? I think it's being shared now. So interestingly, so feeling connected and making friends is going to, the majority of you answered 57%, and then time management, organizational skills, and then academics came after. You know, I bet you multiple, I bet you felt like not just one, it was hard probably to identify at least one of those. I'm gonna stop sharing this. Let's get rid of this. So let's talk a little bit about feeling connected and making friends, and what is off-campus student services role in that? With our area, what we do is try to connect our students with our department, and we try to do that as soon as we can. So at the end of the summer, when they're about to come onto campus, what we will do is we will connect them with an upperclassman who works in off-campus student services, and they will fill the role of a peer mentor for your student. And we call these peer mentors PAC leaders. So when I refer to these student assistants that come on board at the end of the summer, I'm referring to them as PAC leaders. And they are there, they're gonna be reaching out at the end of the summer, they're gonna be connecting, and each of your students, each student is going to be connected with one PAC leader. So they will have a dedicated PAC leader for them, in which they can ask any questions they have, they can connect with them if maybe they just want some advice or guidance. Maybe they're not sure how to navigate Johnson Wales University, or maybe they're not sure about course registration and they want some, you know, tips and guidance on how to go up and look for the classes they need and register for classes. Maybe it's just that they're feeling a little unsure about their major, or, you know, whether or not they can do this. They're getting maybe a little down and saying, I don't know if I can do this work. And they're there to help them, to support them, and to motivate them. So we don't expect our students to always feel comfortable reaching out to them as much as we would like them to. Many students do, but we will have our PAC leaders reach out to them throughout the year. So as soon as they're assigned, they will probably get an email. They might get a call with the PAC leaders introducing themselves and saying, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. And then offering ways in which they can connect with other commuters. And throughout the year, I mean, it is a different time of the year with COVID. We know that. We know that the activities and the events that we normally plan, where they would come in and see their PAC leader or engage in maybe some, you know, some activity like game night that we would do normally in the commuter lounge, which I'll talk a little bit further about so you can understand what we have for our commuters. But they can't do that now. So unfortunately, we're gonna have different ways that we connect with them, and they can connect with other commuters as well. And that's probably going to be in the virtual world, as it has been with a lot of, you can see orientations virtual right now. Some of the classes will be virtual. A lot of our connecting with your student will be virtual. And if there's a specific way they like to connect, maybe it's by email, maybe it's by text, they don't mind a PAC leader texting, they certainly will do that as well. So I think that's important for you to know, that there's someone dedicated in off-campus services for your student. And I hope that makes you feel a little more comfortable about them coming to Johnson & Wales as a commuter student and making friends. As far as time management and organizational skills, yeah, commuters are more challenged by that. They can't just roll out of bed and just walk up the street and go to their classes. They have to figure the commute time. They have to factor in weather. They have to factor in traffic. They have to factor in a lot of different things. The garage last year, I think it's gonna be better with the parking garage, but last year, the first week, everyone's coming in at the same time, trying to figure things out, and it can kind of get backed up along Pine Street, so they have to factor in how much time it will take for them to get into the parking garage and then walk to their classes. Again, this year might be a little different. So I don't see, now that classes are more of a hybrid format where part of the week they'll be in classes and part of the week they'll be online. I don't think they have to worry about that as much. So that's an advantage. That's a positive to being virtual with a lot of things as well. And as far as academics, if we find out or if your student is struggling academically, we want them to reach out and talk with the PAC leader and talk to them about the challenges that they're having. And the PAC leader will direct them to a lot of the resources and services that are offered on campus. We have the Center for Academic Support, the Academic Success Center, which allows students to get tutoring. They can have their papers reviewed and they can get help with writing. There's a lot of resources on campus. We have counselors, we have academic counselors as well that can help them plan their courses. So depending on what they're struggling with, the PAC leader can help direct them to the right resource on campus. So if they don't want to reach out to a lot of different people, if they don't know who to reach out to, they're stuck, have them contact their PAC leader. At least they have one person that they can reach out to and know that that person, if they don't have the answer, will get the answer for them and then direct them in the right place. And of course, as always, I oversee them, so I will make sure that they have that information that they need as well to make sure that your student is successful. Nobody checked off parking and transportation, but I do have a couple of polls that I want to deploy just to get a sense of how far of a commute it is for your student. And then the next poll will ask about how they're getting to campus. So here's the first one. How far is your student's commute to campus? If you could just take a minute and just check off how long it takes them. Great. Excellent. Well, that's good to see that it's, for most of you, it's 15 minutes or less. So you're living in the surrounding neighborhoods, which is great. 14%, 16 to 30, but for some of you, 31 to 45 minutes. Yeah, it's going to take a little longer to get here. I live in Warwick. It should only take me 20 minutes, right? Well, guess what? When you factor in traffic and you factor in everything else that's going on, it takes me 45 minutes. So even though it should only be a 20-minute ride with no traffic lights, you know, at parking and all that, I end up taking 45 minutes in the morning at least. Going home, depending on traffic, it might take a little longer, believe it or not. So yes, some of our commuters, believe it or not, are traveling well over an hour. And so that's a concern when it comes to time management and organizational skills. They have to really make sure that they plan out their day. Suggestion would be, for your commuters, if they haven't already, is before classes start, they should take a dry run just to see how long it takes for them to get here, and just kind of get familiar with the streets if they're not familiar with Providence. I think that might be something they might want to do so they're not panicking. If they get detoured, you just don't know when a detour is going to happen. And it could happen the first day of classes. So the best laid plans are just, you know, they fall to the wayside. So this way, at least they're prepared ahead of time. If we can deploy the third poll that I have for you. So how will your student get back and forth to campus? If you could just take a minute to answer that question. All right. I think we got almost everybody. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. All right. So for most of you, your student has his or her own car. And for one of you, they'll be taking public transportation. So a couple of things I want to talk about, because the majority will have their own car, so parking will be an issue. I don't know, you have to think about it. Are they going to be taking classes on the Harborside campus, or is it the Down City campus? And if it's the Down City campus, there is the availability of the parking garage in which they can purchase a permit. That does not fall in my area. I am not responsible for the parking garage. However, I can tell you that the parking garage, the permits for the parking garage and for also the Harborside campus will open around the first week of August on JWU Link. So somewhere around there. Good. And the cost for the parking garage, from what I understand, is $650 for the year. And for the Harborside campus, it's $180. So what a lot of our students do, and this is something you want to consider. If classes are hybrid and they're not coming in every day of the week, only part of the week, you know, you have to consider the cost. And I think this is a personal choice on whether your student just wants to purchase a permit and, you know, just know that they can enter the garage and not have to, you know, pull a ticket and pay at the end, because you can pay by the hour if you want to do that. And I think there's a daily charge as well. So if you're going to be there over 10 or 11 hours, there's a daily cost as well. You might want to just try to factor in, you know, is it worth it to buy the permit or just pay hourly? The other thing some of our commuters do is they park on Harborside for $180 and take the JWU bus transportation down to Down City. So if they are taking classes Down City, they just have to now factor in a little more time for parking on Harborside, going over, you know, to the bus stop, and then waiting for the buses, which usually run about every 15 minutes. They will just have to become familiar, and you can track this through, there's a mobile app that they can track the buses and the stops, you know, so which bus is going to which location and where the stops are. So there's another option for our commuters as well. Public transportation, I know I have student assistants who take public transportation, so not all of them drive their own car. I mean, it's great. We have a discounted rate. So if you go into JWU Link, if you click on services and you click on transportation, you'll see a section for RIPTA. It's the UPass, and it really is a discounted rate, so students don't have to pay full cost of riding RIPTA as a regular passenger would have to. And it also allows them to use RIPTA in that month that they pay for to go anywhere. It's not just back and forth to campus. So they can go to the mall, they can go down to South Kingston or to the beaches or whatever it is. So, you know, they can use it a lot if they want. Some of the disadvantages that my students have told me when it comes to public transportation they should consider is that it takes longer to get where they're going because of the number of stops. And also once the bus is full, it does pass that bus stop, it'll keep going and they'll have to wait for the next bus. So there are some disadvantages as well, and just things to factor in with time. My student assistants learned the hard way, let's put it that way. So now they factor in an extra, 20, 25 minutes just because they've been late to work because of that. So I would like to, add, we have Jocelyn with us. Jocelyn, anything you want to add to transportation, parking, pack leaders that I've just talked about so far?
Well, for me, I parked on the harbor side because for me, it was cheaper, it's $180. And usually I like to arrive early because the buses get really filled if you show up during when your class is about to start, they get really filled up. So you want to make sure to show up a few minutes or half an hour early because you could chill at the den, which is for the where the commuters usually are. And sometimes the buses show up late. So you just want to make sure, like I said, you show up early. And it depends. There was a question regarding how long it takes to go to Harborside to Down City. It usually depends because sometimes there's traffic or they're fixing the roads. So usually sometimes it takes 10, 20 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Because there's two different roads that they take too. They either take the highway or the streetway. So it usually depends.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like if you're driving your car, the JWU buses are going to run into traffic, just like you on the streets. So as much as they try to be on time, and I think for the most part they are, but weather and traffic will also impact, the times that they arrive at the bus stop. So it's important to plan. I think there was a question about whether a permit is required for Harborside. Yes, it is. So if you're going to park on the Harborside campus, you need to have a permit. So your car has to be registered with security. That's how they track who is on campus and whether or not they're a student and they belong there. So it is important. Now, if you get a permit for Harborside, you can't, it doesn't allow you into the Down City garage. However, if you get a permit for the Down City garage, it does allow you to park on the Harborside campus. So just letting you know that. You know, we keep talking about the Den. I just want to quickly talk about the commuter lounge. It is called the Den, as Jocelyn had referred to it. This is a place typically in a normal year where our commuters come in and just hang out. They relax in between classes. Maybe they come early and they want to, you know, sit around and just hang out and watch TV for a little bit before their classes or after their classes. We have music on, we have the TVs on, we have tables and chairs, we have a lot of comfy couches they can relax in. We have a refrigerator, a toaster oven, a microwave. So they are able to bring their lunch in, put it in the refrigerator, and then after class, they can come in, heat it up, and sit down and have lunch. We have computers and printers for them to utilize as well. A lot of times our commuters like to just run in and print a syllabus or their project or term paper, whatever's due. They have that ability to do that. There is a single-use bathroom, which is good in COVID world right now. We have Xbox, and we have a front desk. So if they have any questions, they can come up and ask the student assistants who are working there any question that they might have. Now, it will be a little different than what it has in the past, just because we have to account for social distancing. So the Den will be more of a drop-in, and time will be limited. There'll be time limits of about 20 minutes per person. There'll be only 15 people allowed into the space at one time. Everything will be, you know, spaced so that there is enough. There's 6 feet distancing among students. Masks will be required. Sanitizers will be provided, and we will sanitize and wipe down the area every 15 minutes. So those high touch points will be washed down and sanitized. So we'll make sure that happens. And we'll have signage throughout the Den letting students know what's required. Recommendations that they will have wipes available for them to use too if they want to wipe down, you know, the microwave before they touch the handle, things like that. We have plexiglass for the front counter, and we have a traffic pattern. So we have one way in and one way out. So we have accounted for all that, and we'll be preparing the Den over the summer. If they're looking for a place where they want to hang a little bit more, there's a quieter space called the Lounge that we do oversee as well, but we don't staff. Typically there's lockers in that area, but the lockers will not be available for use, nor will the microwave that is there. But they are able to still hang out. There'll be some couches there again, applying social distances, but they will be able to hang a little longer. There'll be no time limits in that area. And that's in Wales Hall across from the fitness center. So I kind of wanted to just give you that update. We do plan on having more virtual engagement with our commuters because we can't have it in the Den as we typically would have. So we hope that you can encourage your student to join us on some of those you know, virtual and online activities that we stopped planning for them. I would love to say we have some great traditions. You know, we have dodgeball, we have the Halloween party, we do commuter appreciation days. Obviously, some of this stuff we can't do in person, but dodgeball you can't. But maybe the Halloween party we can do something a little festive through, you know, an online format, or even commuter appreciation days. We'll figure those things out. So we don't want our students to miss out and not be, you know, communicating with other commuters in our area as well. I think at this point, what I would like to do is we have one last poll for you. And so Daryl, it's about involvement. How involved do you think your student will be? And I promise this is the last poll. And I just want to kind of get an idea. Great. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Great. So somewhat involved, which is great, and not sure. You know what? I didn't know what my children wanted to do either, honestly. I had no idea how involved they were going to be. You know, a lot of our commuter students, I think the challenge for them is, let me get settled first. I need to figure out, first of all, how long it's going to take me to get to my classes. I need to figure out how much work I'm going to have. Many of our commuters work 2 or 3 jobs sometimes. They have a lot of personal responsibilities. To be involved can be challenging. It's not that they don't want to be involved, it's just where do I fit it in? But I will tell you, our commuters, the ones who are somewhat involved, they don't have to be extremely involved. In fact, we almost discourage our commuters to try to do too much. Pick one or two things, maybe one club or organization, or maybe it's just an event and an activity that they attend, just to get connected, to feel connected. They're going to feel like they're part of this university. That's how they get their school spirit going. They feel good about the university that they're attending. They feel a connection with others and with the administration, with faculty, and with the departments here. It really is important for them to try to fit in something, one thing, even if it's just one thing. And what I'd like to do is ask Jocelyn to speak to that a little more, if you could, Jocelyn.
Yeah, so I usually, I'm not in a club or anything because I do work sometimes after classes and stuff like that. But I do go to the events a lot, and at the Den, that's where I met most of my friends. So we usually just go to those events. And like, I believe there was one time there was a movie night at Harborside, and we attended that, and it's pretty fun because you meet other people and you get to network with a lot of other students from all over the place, and then you exchange like numbers, social media, and that's a good way to stay connected with other students.
And Jocelyn, you've been able to extend that to beyond when classes ended in the spring with the orientation team, right?
Yeah. So there's also ways to, such as like another opportunity is like what is it, getting to involved by joining like a team such as me, OVA team, and getting like, it was a little hard because we did it through Zoom, but we still get connected by, I still do meetings with my other coworkers. We do fun games, like we play bingo. We do a lot of activities through Zoom, and you're still able to do this with other students as well. Like I still am connected with my other friends from different states. We still Zoom each other or FaceTime. Yeah, and it's a good idea to get a job at JWU because you're also able to connect with other professors, students, because there's going to be a lot of students there working. I also met a lot of students who work there at the Den, and like I'm going to go further into detail with the pack leaders changing topics. Like one of my pack leaders, Mahalia, she used to call me a few times a week or during the month and just check on how I'm doing, or if I need, especially the first week of school, she used to ask me how my classes are going or if I need help with anything. She would always like check up on me, which I really love because I felt like I had a connection and I had someone to help me out with anything I need. I could ask her for help and such as that. And I also like would say hi to her every time I went to the Den. And I know one of those pack leaders, we did go out with my friends and we got some pizza. You really stay connected with a lot of those students in the Den.
Yeah. Yeah, so the pack leaders play such an important role for our commuters. So I hope that your student feels like the same way as John, and I know they will. I know by the end of the year, they're going to feel a connection. As long as they interact and respond, we don't expect them to have this big, long conversation if they don't want to. But I know a lot of our commuters said, it was just nice to know that there was someone there for me. Even if I, didn't reach out all the time, it was just nice when they called just to say hello and see how I'm doing. Once in a while, they'd have a question, but if they don't, that means they're doing well many times too. So that's a good thing. But we like to know how our commuters are doing. I will tell you, there was a couple of questions that came in. So our commuters included in the university activities, commuters are invited to any activity and event that happens on campus, whether it's just, we offer an off-campus student services commuter specific. So we do offer some events and activities, but that doesn't mean that those are the only ones they can go to. Student engagement will be offering, and they have been all summer long, and they will over the academic year. your student will know about a lot of the activities and events that happen. There'll be, like Jocelyn had said, movie night, bingo. There's a whole ton. I mean, it's amazing the events and activities that they offer for all our students. The same things with clubs and orgs and any sports teams, whether, you know, it's intramurals or it's a club sport, commuters are welcome to join them as well. As far as what do we know that is virtual versus in person, that I'm not sure about. I think majority will be virtual if we can offer it virtual, just because we don't want large gatherings of students. We're trying to prevent that from happening. If there's an ability to do that, and maybe it's a lot of the clubs and orgs have smaller groups or members that can show up, I think they might have that ability to meet in person. But I think you're going to find the majority of a lot of the activities will be in the virtual world. But I don't know. I don't have a schedule of what that is. Student engagement will know better. And we haven't put together our calendar and identified those activities yet, only because our students have not been allowed to come on campus and to work in our area yet in the summer, given the situation the way it is. They probably won't be back on campus till about the week before or 2 weeks before the term starts. Once that happens and we know, we'll start communicating with commuters as to what they can expect and what they can find for off-campus student services, which I just want to quickly talk about communication. I think that's really important. How do we communicate with your student? How do they know what's going on and what we have to offer for them? I put out a commuter bulletin each month to all our commuters. So we have about 35, maybe a little over 3,500 commuters. So I put together a bulletin for them with a lot of information about resources, events, activities, even PPAC, if they're closing off Pine Street, we try to give them a heads up about that and what days that will happen, so they can take a detour or change, their path coming in, so they can take another road in case that's closed. PACLEs also do a bi-weekly newsletter. So every other week they try to send a newsletter out to help first year commuters, giving them tips and advice and guidance for their first year so they can be successful. In addition, we email. We use email a lot. So we'll email their JWU student email account with any information that we think is pertinent. Involvement network. So we will send an invitation probably by the end of the summer to your student, inviting them to the Commuting Wildcat page. And if they accept it, there's another place that we will post the events and activities that are happening. And any other information. I know Jocelyn mentioned getting an on-campus job or employment, on campus is really important, and especially for commuters. So if I have any openings for student assistant positions, I'll be posting them there. So we encourage them to apply for a position. And social media is one of the #1 ways we also communicate with our commuters. So you can find us, or your student can find us on Facebook, Twitter. We don't use Snapchat as much unless there's an event going on. We have Instagram. We know that's very popular with our students. And we have a new YouTube account that we were hoping to populate with more videos. Now that we're in the virtual world more, I think we need to utilize that. The handle is @JWUcommutes. So please, we encourage your student to join us, to follow us, so they don't miss out on any important information.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anything else you want to add to what I've just?
Well, definitely, because I follow the Instagram, the JWU Commuters Instagram, and I always see like the events that happen that you guys are doing, and that's how me and my friends like schedule how we're gonna go and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend following all those social medias, because you'll see all the events, and you also see not only the commuters, but you also see what's going on around school, because they put posters around like the doors, the bathrooms, everywhere. So you'll see any event happening at JWU, you'll see it all around the school. And then we also had a quick question regarding schedules and what it's going to be online and in person. So I'm not sure if all the students already got their schedules, but I know for me personally, my schedule tells me which one I'm taking virtual and which one I'm gonna be in person.
Yeah.
So I know for when I'm going over the orientation with my with the incoming students, we explain to them which one, we like show them which one is online, and it will tell you under their schedule during meeting and times. It lets them know which one. It tells you right there. I believe it says virtual. And then if there's nothing, it means that they're going to be in person.
And students won't find out what their schedule is until closer to the start of classes. They may not have it released or their final version released until the day or two before classes. So there's a little bit of a waiting game here, but as Jocelyn mentioned, in the orientation meetings, the OT meetings that your students are participating in on either Tuesday or Thursday, they can see what a schedule looks like to capture that information that Jocelyn just mentioned, and also so that they know where should they go to get their schedule when those are finalized.
And Daryl, thank you so much for posting the link to Twitter and Instagram. I think that's really, really helpful. I appreciate that. There was also another question, and I don't want to pass over, but it says, has a decision been made regarding in-person classes for the fall? And if not, when will that decision be made? And again, it's right now, from what I understand, a lot of the undergrad day classes will be in a hybrid format, but I think a lot of it might depend on the enrollment in each classes. So you may, even if you can see the schedule, you may not see, like Jocelyn was speaking to, as far as whether it's online or hybrid or what have you. I think those decisions, a lot of them are still being made. I think CE classes, from what I understand, will be all virtual. So I think for that question, you might want to touch base with Student Academic Services.
I'd like, if I may interject.
Oh, yes, please, please.
Yes, that's right. CE students are all virtual, along with some graduate classes, which likely won't impact your incoming students. Your students are also required to do their academic meetings to select one Friday in the month of July and August. And each college is going over the details of what their school will look like. So as you can imagine, students that are studying culinary and have to do labs, that experience is going to be quite different than somebody that is doing, core academic classes such as English and math.
So Debbie, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So when will our kids be getting their schedules? Will it be mid-August? I mean, we're starting August 28th, right?
It's very close to August 28th.
Okay.
And
All
even
right.
if they can see their schedule in advance, it might change. So
Yeah.
really, they'll want to access it and really commit to it a day or two before classes, because it might change in the meantime.
So I'm sort of coaching my son that he's going to be virtual more than on site. Is that probably a good thing or no?
At this point in time, it will be a hybrid thing. And of course, these things can change every day.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
directors are changing. But at this point in time, classes will be hybrid, meaning half of the class would have an in-person experience while the other class is having that same experience virtually, let's say on Monday, and then on Wednesday, that would switch. So the people that were doing only virtual would then have an in-class experience.
Okay. Just like my own job and
Exactly.
kids' schools and everything else, right?
It's everyone's same experience, right?
That's right. Got to go with it. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Just so everyone knows, I typed into the chat the website for the commuter website address in case you're interested. There's a little portion of it that you can kind of see that's directed to all commuters, whether you live in an apartment or you're living with family members and traveling back and forth to campus. So you can see some of the videos that we have up there from the PAC leaders from this past year. We haven't taken them down. We've left them up there for now, and just how we link in the information that we provide. There's some information about the den as well there. So I thought you might find that interesting.
I heard a question asked earlier about events on campus. There will be events that are on campus. Diane, you had mentioned student engagement maybe hosting some. We'll be
Yep.
hosting some in person and virtually, and your students can participate in the virtual events now. They'll hear about those events that are taking place over the summer, such as bingo and trivia during their OT meetings. But we are also doing in-person experiences that, you know, that are social distance and things like that. But just this Saturday, we did a DIY planting. So it was kind of like a grab and go programming experience, which the students loved. So we'll be seeing more of those things in the fall. And as long as Gina keeps letting us increase our numbers, you know, we'll still continue to think of creative ways to have that person-to-person experience in a really safe manner.
Any other questions? These are great questions that you guys have. Jocelyn, any advice or tips that you would like to communicate and share with the group for this?
Just honestly, just stay connected with just through social media. I know I think there's a Facebook for the class of 2024. So definitely just put yourself out there, like where your major is, where you're from. That's what I did for my freshman year. I just said where I'm from, just a little bit myself, and that's how I stay connected with other students. I believe there's also an Instagram. I'm not really sure, but you could just, I believe it's called JWU Class of 2024, or depending what year you are, but you're able to stay connected with other students through there, and then also see them around during campuses and just say hello, introduce yourself, just be yourself and stay connected with other students, even with professors, definitely with professors.
You know, that's what I've got 2 kids that finished college, and it's been a couple of years, I can't believe, since the last one went. But one of the things we always stressed with them is, you know, get to know your professors and don't be afraid to talk to your professors. If you're having an issue, make sure you communicate, be friendly, even just say hello and have a conversation with them. You know, I think it's really important for your academic experience, but also with administrators. Don't be afraid to ask a question to an administrator. And I think in this age group, sometimes some of our students are a little shy. They don't want, I don't know, for what reason they feel like they don't want to ask the question. That it is what it is, but I think they need to be advocates for themselves. And if there's a situation that somebody needs to know on campus, then, you know, they need to communicate that. And we hope they feel comfortable enough doing that. And it'll make such a big difference in their experience at Johnson Wales University. I am certainly here for the commuters. Anytime, you know, I have students who just pop in and say hello, and I come out in the den and say hello. I think it's really important to establish that relationship. And it's just another connection for them.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, sorry.
No. I just had a off topic. Diane, when will the students be assigned a pack leader?
So as soon as I know that they're able to come back and work, and I am hoping it'll be, I'm giving at least 2-week lead time before the classes start. Once I get them in that week, the first week they're there, we're gonna start running reports and connecting them with students. So I'm hoping they can connect with their students that we assign at least 1 week before classes start.
And you're the supervisor of all those.
Yes.
Lucky you.
I love my students. We've been talking all summer long. One of my students just reached out to me. She goes, "How are you doing?"
I know, right? Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jocelyn, go ahead. I know you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your experience.
Oh, I was just gonna say, definitely reach out to your professors. during the summer. Just introduce yourself, just so they know who you are, especially if some classes might be virtual. It's good for them to know who you are and that you're interested in their class. And you're especially going to be very connected with your professors during this virtual experience, because you're always going back and forth through email or through, it's not Zoom, but it's a Blackboard that we have, that you're going to be very connected with your professors a lot.
Debbie, I don't know if you want to answer the last question in the chat. I don't have the answer to the last question about virtual classes being scheduled all day, or so that they can attend.
Yeah, I think there are just so many variables for each student that it might work out for some students, but it might not work out for other students, just taking into account placement testing and transfer credits and all of that. I would not count on that. That's not something that I've heard is a goal when placing students in classes.
Any other questions that you might have? Well, I will say thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I hope I've given you enough information for that you feel comfortable with your student, being a commuter at Johnson Wales University, and that knowing that there is support and resources for them. And should you have any questions or concerns, I want you to reach out to me. And in the chat function, I will put my email address for you. And that way, please feel free. I have all summer, every summer, I always have conversations with parents, families of commuters. I have no problem. If I have the answer, I'll answer. If I don't, I'll direct you to who can. But a lot of times it's really just anxiety about them being a commuter. I will tell you, because most families and parents feel like their students missing out on something because they're not living on campus. And that's not the case. They can get a full experience being a commuter here at Johnson Wales University.
I'll also put my email in case anyone wants to reach out, ask any questions. Feel free.
Jocelyn, thank you.
No problem.
You were very nice. Debbie and Diane, I appreciate it. I'm
Of
sure I'll
course.
reach out.
Absolutely, please.
And if you haven't had a chance to do family orientation online, go ahead and do that. You can access that through our website. And if you're having any trouble logging in, try using a lowercase j, and that should solve all of your problems. Or you can email us and we'd be happy to help you with the login.
You guys are great so much. Thank you so much. This is very helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for being here.
All right.
Have a great night, everybody.